let's move on to the second part of this introduction to DTFX to talk a bit more about the system as such. Well then, as I was telling you in the previous video, it is a system that is going to be based on supply and demand, and on market structure to explain movements and to establish certain rules, swing highs, swing lows, which areas to take. And these are areas where we assume there is positioning. That's why they are supply and demand areas. We are working with real market positioning, not just guessing. We won't work like that. We will see things as with the understanding of knowing where institutional players are positioning themselves. Let's just call them supply and demand areas where we know there are orders. Hence, if there are orders, there will be price sensitivity for it to reach that point, and we get a reaction. So the way most ETF traders operate the system is simply by taking an area, like in the case of the one already to the left. We're going to do it here graphically. You take an area of supply and demand and look for a specific pattern. So the supply and demand area in this case is going to be this one. Then in the other theory, videos, I'm going to explain well how to take the areas. And these are the areas to which we are going to take measurements of 30, 50, and 70%, which I will also explain a bit about their levels later. Initially, the focus is going to be on the 50%, and well, these are levels sensitive to price. Something behind this, and the backtesting, and the number of trades I have done with this system has made it more than clear to me. I don't need anyone to argue anything, because I already saw it. I already proved it. And when you prove something and see it with your own eyes, there's simply no way they can change it for you with theories. So for me, if there are algorithms that move the high frequency market and do it this way within these areas, there are specific levels sensitive to this, and we will help ourselves with some small patterns in our lower time frame over here to make an even more precise entry, so that when we take a trade, we don't have to protect ourselves so low. This way, having the same target in the trade, we can refine the stop loss around here, and we can have better ratios. So the system is basically that. It's an advanced way of interpreting supply and demand and market structure, where through a pattern we will take super precise entries and start obtaining reversal signals at certain points. I'm telling you, this is very precise. In fact, the last market day we had, last Friday, is the perfect example of this. We had this origin, which I'll explain properly later. We had this origin where the reversal happened and price reached there. So I'm on my higher time frame for 1 minute, and I drop to 5 seconds. And what do I get? What I just drew down there. Then there is a change in structure in this time frame, and here it makes a tap and leaves us with a double bottom, swiping the first tap. So this is going to be like the complete pattern one would look for. And see how you can shorten the stop loss here, or once you're more experienced. If we have more experience with the system, there will be a point where we will know when to set it right at the load of the candle that made the manipulation, the sweep. So instead of taking a trade from here, from that 50, which is where we were expecting a reaction, and have a ratio, let's say 1-1-1, instead of doing this, like entering at 50% of those stop loss below the area and TP exiting the area, instead of doing this, which would have also worked out. We're going to be able to do this, and with a decent target, even looking at it through fractals, it would be an even better target than grabbing this 1-1 from here. So a better ratio to have the same target, and we're going to risk fewer stop loss points then. As I said, it is ultra precise. In fact, I had something left from what I was marking that day. And look at this again. So, it is a system that has helped me a lot for different things. How to have a calmer operation. What was happening to me with ICT? That despite having good results, I was not at peace. I was not at peace because I follow New York hours. Which means that during the London session I'm sleeping. And well, I rarely ever look at it, to be honest. I'm not one to stay up at night watching the market. And sometimes it happened that I would arrive at New York and just slightly earlier. When it was London, the best setup of the day was with an ICT pattern. And of course, I would spend all of New York dealing with a seek and destroy, because the price was swiping from side to side, it was consolidated, and all the good movement happened in London, so it was frustrating. And we need to understand how humans work. Humans in the markets want to see profits. They want to enter trades. And for people who are just starting out, that psychological aspect is what will give them the most trouble in their trading. So, how will this TFX system help us with that? Well, if we already know it's a system that explains everything happening in the market,
the entire structure as it is built, regardless of the time of day,
it means that if we understand that, and we are in a lower time frame and the system is fractal, we are going to find a couple of opportunities no matter what time of day it is. And I can assure you that even operating Asia, as I tell you, that on the Nasdaq, which has so little volatility most of the time, but I can go to any asset and I will find the same. In fact, on Friday night, well, on Thursday night, I was actually looking at Asia and gold and had taken a trade based on this system around here. He had taken a trade around here and gave a super good short, and it's an absurd precision, and people see gold a lot as something that is manipulated every which way, and that it's impossible to trade it with a small stop loss. But I don't know. The system gave an absurd precision after it did the sweep around here. Similar to what we just saw there in the Nasdaq example, stemming from an area over here, then the complete pattern of the double top tap remains, and the distribution happens. So I was watching this on Thursday night exactly, while watching Nasdaq too, and gold if it has more volatility at those hours. In case Nasdaq is very slow, you can look at other things. The system will work for you just as well. So of course that is a huge advantage, that peace of mind of, well, I reached a point where I was waking up earlier, so I wouldn't miss a possible ICT setup. So I would wake up, check quickly on the phone how the market was doing, if it was leaving any clear imbalance. There was. Some very clear dragon liquidity, some equal highs, equal lows. I don't know if a breaker had already formed with an FBG with displacement, and I didn't want to miss it, so I got in to see that. And if I saw something, I would stay awake, waiting to see if the price arrived and everything. And it was horrible. And more horrible is when the setup that you waited so long for and woke up early and everything doesn't happen. And you are aware that now you have to wait who knows how many more hours or until the next session to find other stages. So what is this system going to allow us? The greater the number of opportunities, the greater the precision of our win rate and the system data. Because if I have a system that gives me 1000 trades and it had, I don't know, 60 to 70% win rate during those 1000 trades, but this is data from 5 years, and I have this same system that also gives me those 1000 trades, but it's 2 weeks of data and it has, I don't know, that same win rate, 60-70% from here to someone who is looking to capitalize. I ended up taking the optimal trades in this system, trades that I assume won't present themselves every day or in every session, until I can make its process pleasant and not so frustrating with this. It will be very difficult. It will be very difficult. While with a system that provides the same thing in less time, it will help you psychologically in a huge way. So this is one of the biggest advantages that I have talked about a lot on Twitter, which is where I have my social network for this. Even though I publish everything in English, I want to start bringing this to the Spanish-speaking people. I know it's a very large community and generally consists of third world countries. Latin America specifically. Spain, not so much. Spain has better conditions, but still. They have their problems too, but referring to Latin America as such, the trading community is trash. I say it right away. It's trash, and it's one of the communities that gets scammed the most with the number of pyramids or companies that operate there. These binary options, synthetics, markets that are really not that good. Synthetics have similarities in terms of operation like Forex. I mean, you can handle it all and it doesn't depend on time, but binary options, that's just stupid. To me, that's gambling. So I know it's been a pretty vulnerable community in that sense. And that's where I want this system to be known in this Spanish-speaking community. So anyway, the system is really going to help you psychologically. It will give you a huge number of setups to the point that you'll be calm. You'll get there and you won't be frustrated waiting 3 or 4 hours to get a setup. At the beginning, people usually make a lot of trades with this system. But over time, you'll see that you'll become very, very selective. You will understand the market so well in such a short time that you will become very selective. And your operation will be similar to what you were doing before. Like, okay, maybe I'll do 1 trade or 2 trades a day. I won't get desperate or anything. But the way you feel waiting for that will be totally different. So, This system has so many advantages, so many. Really, take the time to understand it. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I also have a community, all free. If you want to be a part of it, I'll be leaving the links to my Discord so you can learn more about the system as such and from my experience with it. Well, let's leave it here. And in the next videos, we will be talking about the theoretical part of the system. Bye bye.